Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Hey everybody, Dave here at bluebearsgames, and this week we are going to have our big video be an unboxed. The recent release of the Innistrad Midnight Hunt Commander decks have finally arrived, and I've chosen for the first one I'm going to unbox, show you what's in here, and then give you a small upgrade guide to, is the Undead Unleashed, and there's a reason for that, and I'll get into that a little bit later. First, I want to address a couple of things. I literally just got back from an appointment where they took stitches out of my face, so please bear with me as I'm a little flustered from that. It's a little harrowing when they're pulling strings out of your face from the stitches. That's the first thing. The second thing I want to address is a couple weeks ago I had mentioned that I had been having some issues. You guys noticed that I have a coughing problem, and then I have this thing where I have to clear my throat a lot. I thought I had something. It ends up being that during the pandemic, I adopted 2 kittens, and it turns out that I'm allergic to them. So, good news, bad news. Good news is I am not sick. I just have an allergy that I've never had before. Bad news is that I'm going to continue to cough forever because I'm not getting rid of my cats. So, anyway, let's start opening this box up. I'll show you what's in here, and then we'll go from there. My favorite sound of all is coming up right now. You ready? I love that they added a ripcord. So let's pull everything out and show you what's inside the box, and we'll go from there. Alright, they did it a little differently this time, but not much. Alright, so we don't need this. They gave us that thing with all the little pop-outs still, and I don't even know what this is for. And then, of course, this is cool. If you can cut it out and use it, use it. If not, you know, it's just cool. So there's that. Then they gave us the box. This is the new box that they use. Again, I like the original ones they had before. I do not like this style of box, but it is what it is. Alright, so let's pull the inserts out and go from there. The life counter is pretty cool. It's a werewolf. And then that on the side. So that's not too bad. Then you got the insert, which has, you know, the little guide on it and a little mat on it, I believe. That's what they had last year. Nope, they don't have the mat. Alright, well, anyway, it's just a little thing about the deck, so that's the insert. And then we've got the meat and potatoes of this, which is the deck. So, let me zoom in a little bit so we can see it all. And then I'm going to open it, and I've always had a problem with these, but I think I've solved that problem today. Alright, so let's get into what's inside the deck. Now, normally the way I do my Commander deck presentations is different than the way they allow me to do it, so I'm going to split the deck in half, and then we're going to go over it. I usually go lands, blah, 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 but it's not like that anymore. They just randomly have things. Alright, so the Commander is Will Helt, the Rock Cleaver. He is 1 black, 1 blue, 2 of any, and a 3/3, and then whenever another zombie you control dies, if it didn't have Decayed, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. And Decayed means that it's the ability, and it's not a positive ability at all, that it can't block, and then whenever it attacks, you sacrifice at end of combat. And then its second ability is, at the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice a zombie, and if you do, draw a card. So that's what Will Helt is. That was what they gave us. So let's go into what else they gave us. The secondary commander they gave us was Eloise Nephalia Sleuth. So 1 black, 1 blue, 3 of any for a 4/4. Whenever another creature you control dies, you investigate, which means you can create a clue token. And that clue token has 2 sacrifice this artifact and then draw a card. And then whenever you sacrifice a token, that includes a decayed zombie, a regular zombie, a clue token, you can surveil 1, which means you can look at the top card of your library, and you may put that card in your graveyard if you so choose. So those are the 2 zombies, or the 2 commanders that they gave with this option. I'm going to actually I'm just going to read off the cards to you as I go. If I have any comments about any of them, I'll let you know. If you want to read what a card does, you can go ahead and pause the video just to make the time go a little faster. So they included Distant Melody, not bad for a deck that has tribal in it. Eternal Skylord, more tribal. It's a zombie. It's actually one of the better ones. It gives all your tokens flying. Corpse Augur, whenever it dies, you draw X cards and you lose X life, where X is the number of creature cards in target player's graveyard. So that's how it helps with draw. Feed the Swarm is going to be in every black deck going forward for Commander. Fleshbag Marauder. Go for the Throat, nice targeted removal. Liliana's Devotee. in my zombie tribal deck is Liliana's Devotee. Same thing with Lord of the Cursed. It's one of the many lords you can put in there. Spark Reaper helps you draw a card and gain life. Siphon Flesh, I don't have that in mind because I think this is the first one I've ever gotten. Each player sacrifices a creature, and then you create a 2/2 black zombie creature token for each one sacrificed this way. Undead Augur helps you draw cards. Diagraph Captain, another one of the lords of the deck, and it also helps you by draining your opponent. Gleaming Overseer, Ruthless Deathfang. This is not something I have in mind. I don't even think I owned one of these. This might actually be new. I think this is one of the newer ones. Of course, an Arcane Signet. I've recently changed my mind on 2-color decks having Arcane Signets only because my availability or my supply of them has increased a lot. Charcoal Diamond, Commander Sphere, I wouldn't play that in an updated version. Sky Diamond, it's the blue one, and a Soul Ring, a Talisman of Dominance. Now that I might actually add to mine. A Bazooka Bog to blow up somebody's graveyard, a Command Tower, Dimir Aqueduct. This is the bounce. That's the bounce land. Mortuary Mire. And again, remember, if you want to read what they do, you can go ahead and pause it. Myriad Landscape, good for land fetching. Path of Ancestry, good for tribal decks. Tainted Isle, obviously great for blue-black. All the Tainteds are great for Commander. Unclaimed Territory, so tribal it works in. Cleaver Scab. Sacrifice another zombie, create 2 tokens that are copies of it, so not horrible. I don't have that in mind. I think this is a newer card. Curse of Unbinding. This one's interesting. I actually like this. It's very expensive. It's 7 to cast. Enchant player, and then the enchanted player, at the beginning of enchanted player's upkeep, that player reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a creature card, and then put that card onto the battlefield under your control, and then that player puts the rest into their graveyard. That's a great card. If it was 2 less, it would be broken. Drown in Dreams. This is actually going into my version of zombies. This is actually Stroke of Genius with an upside. It literally is an upgrade to Stroke of Genius. I didn't think that was possible, but they did it. Empty the Laboratory. And if you need a second to read that one, you can go ahead and read that one. Hordeless Scab. It gives all your zombies flying, so it's not horrible. It's got some downside and some upside to it. I'm going to look at that further, see if I want to put that into my version. Shadow Kin. It's not a... Here's the weird thing. It's not a zombie, and it's not even a changeling. So it doesn't really technically fit into the zombie tribal, but not everything has to be on tribe. Crowded Crypt. This may be going into my version as well. That one's a good one. I like this. This is a different kind of mana rock. I don't like 3 to cast mana rocks, but it adds a color you need. Doesn't come into play tapped, and it does other things. So this one's a good one. Curse of the Restless Dead. Enchant player, it's a curse, creates zombies, blah, blah, blah. Ghoul's Night Out. Really good play on Girls' Night Out. I'll let you read that one for a second. I don't like... I will say this as you're reading it. I don't really like the Decayed... I want to say it's not really an ability, but it is an ability. I don't like Decayed. Gorex, the Tomb Shell, not horrible as well. Extremely high casting cost. So if you have lower power, it's not competitive EDH in your group, it's not bad. You can actually put this into a lot of builds for zombies. Prowling Geist Catcher. This is a newer card. Whenever you sacrifice another creature, exile it, and if that creature was a token, put a +1/+1 counter on it. And then when it leaves the battlefield, return each card exiled with it to the battlefield under your control. It's almost like Black's version of Flickering, in a way. Ravenous Rot Belly. This one's a newer one. It's not bad either. It's not bad. It's 5 to cast 4/5. And I'll let you read that for a second. Tomb Tyrant, it's something I'm absolutely going to switch over into my version of Zombie Tribal. It's another lord and it's a new lord, and it's one I don't have, obviously, until now. It also lets you sacrifice a creature and then return a zombie card at random from your graveyard to the battlefield, and you can only activate that during your turn. and only if there are at least 3 zombie cards in your creature cards in your graveyard. However, it still lets you take a token, sacrifice it, and get a normal non-token into your battlefield. Aether Sprouts, I'm not a fan of that one. Forgotten Creation, this one's cool if you want to like cycle through your deck. Haven Ghoul Runebinder. This is a reprint from Yark, whatever it's called. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. It has like the winged bat as the symbol. I can't remember it though. Hour of Eternity. Good for removal, I guess. Rooftop Storm. This is already in my version. It should go into every zombie deck, every zombie tribal deck made. It's just, I can't believe they actually reprinted it for this. Stitcher Garolf, not bad. Each player mills 3 cards, so if you're looking for that mill version, you can go that direction with blue-black, and it helps with that. Undead Alchemist. I'm not a fan of this one as much as some people are. Army of the Damned, making 13 2/2 tokens with flashback. You can do it so you can have 26 of them. Butcher of Malachur, odd choice. I understand why it's in there. I wish they would make a zombie version of this. Cemetery Reaper, another Anthem-style creature, and it actually helps you create tokens that if you need to. Dark Salvation, another one, a token creation. Death Baron, another Anthem-style creature, but it also affects skeletons. Not really relevant in this unless you're playing the skeletons that return every turn. Diregraph Colossus, I like this one. Lets you create tokens whenever you cast a zombie spell, and it enters with +1/+1 counters for each zombie already in your graveyard. Dread Summons, each player mills more cards. I'm not really a fan of that for this deck. I understand why it's in here though. Dread Horde Invasion is also in my deck. It's almost I wish I like Amass a little bit. I don't like Amass a lot. The fact that you can only get 1 army token, I get why they did it that way, or else it would have been too similar to the fairy one. But I like it enough to play it. Eater of Hope, another non-zombie that's in here. You can sacrifice a creature to regenerate it, or sacrifice 2 others to destroy something, another creature specifically. Endless Ranks of the Dead, again, in my version as well. At the beginning of your upkeep, create X 2/2 zombie creature tokens, or X's number of zombies you control, rounded down. Why wouldn't you play this in a zombie deck? Grave Spawn Sovereign, I believe I do have this in mine as well, because you can go ahead and grab stuff from your graveyard. Let me continue. The pile's just too thick for me to hold, easily. Liliana Death's Majesty, I have this in my version, and of course my version of Zombie Tribal is also a sub-theme of Liliana Tribal. Liliana's Mastery, of course, another Anthem. This one's an enchantment style, and it creates 2 tokens. Midnight Reaper, I'm not so high on this one. I understand it helps you draw cards. There are other ways, especially if you're playing blue. Open the Graves, I think I had this in mind, so whenever a non-token creature you control dies, create a 2/2 zombie. I like that better than Decayed ones. Overseer of the Damned, it enters the battlefield, you may destroy target creature, and then whenever a non-token creature an opponent controls dies, you create a tapped 2/2 zombie creature token. Zombie Apocalypse, basically return all zombie cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, and then destroy all humans. The only time this is relevant is if you're going up against this. The second part is only when you're going against human tribal. Sure, there are some humans a lot of people play, but for the most part, it's not really as relevant. Gisa and Giraffe, I can't say the name. Gisa. I have this in my version as well. Let you play stuff from your graveyard. You always want that. Choked Estuary. It's what do they call these lands? I can't remember what they call these lands. But you reveal an island or swamp, it doesn't come into play tapped, otherwise it does. X is black-blue. Darkwater Catacombs. They put an Exotic Orchard in every fucking deck now. Sunken Hollow, I don't think I had this in my deck. It may actually go into mine. Temple of Deceit. And then islands. Swamps. Alright, and then you've got the new version of the Oversized card, which is the Overthick card of Will Help. And then, let's see what the zombie tokens look like. I'm hoping that they have some cool ones and not just the same one. No, it's all the same one. And then another zombie. They could have had cooler zombies. These are the OG zombie tokens. A zombie army. Okay, so nothing cool on the token side. But so that's what they have included inside the box for the zombie tribal pre-con. They call it the Undead Unleashed. I highly suggest this one. I'm actually a huge fan of this. This would be what I would have built. So I do the budget decks that I make, and I love my budget deck stuff that I make, all of them in Commander. This is how I would have probably built a zombie tribal, you know, budget deck to sell for the $40. The problem with that is now they've made it themselves, so I can no longer do that. In fact, black-blue is the one color combination I don't have a lot of, if any, because you can only do either mill or zombie tribal. And they just did both. So they did the rogue version last year, and then this year. So I'm kind of screwed on that one. But, I mean, say la vie, right? Anyway, so that is the deck. Let me go ahead, and this section is normally where I give you the upgrade options. This is where it's going to get a little weird, okay? I'm going to do something a little different today. So I have a zombie tribal deck. It's one of my favorite decks. It's black-blue. So this is where I'm going to go into something a little different. I'm going to say something a little controversial here. This is where people are going to argue yes or no, whatever. I don't care. This is where I also tell you one of my favorite quotes is, opinions are like assholes, everyone has them, and they all stink like shit. Alright? And let me explain. So, there are two opinions here. There's actually a third opinion, but I'm going to only go over the fact that this is a black-blue deck. There are two ways you can build a zombie tribal deck in specifically black-blue, in my opinion. You can build it with Wilhelt, okay? Or you can replace Wilhelt with a Scarab God. And the problem is that there are people who argue that Wilhelt is better than the Scarab God and vice versa. So, it's not that one is better than the other. It's that the decks play differently, so you have to build a different deck. They are not the same style of play. There are pros and cons to each single one. I, myself, and my playstyle lend itself to the Scarab God. Wilhelt seems a little underpowered to me because it creates decayed zombies instead of regular ones. So let me go over the differences here, and I'll explain to you why I believe Scarab God is a better option, at least for my playstyle, than Wilhelt. So, the Scarab God. Let's go down the line as to what each individual line means and how they differ. So, Wilhelt is one less converted mana cost. It is 1 black, 1 blue, 2, whereas Scarab God is 3 colorless, a black and a blue. Okay, so Wilhelt wins that battle just because it's cheaper to cast. However, if you look at the power and toughness, Scarab God's a 5/5, whereas Wilhelt's a 3/3. So for that 1 colorless, you get a 5/5. So that's where the advantage comes in with the Scarab God. Now, let's look at the abilities. Okay, actually, let's first look at the creature type. Sure, Wilhelt is in tribe. It's a zombie, whereas the Scarab God is not. However, in my opinion, usually the leader of all tribes don't tend to be in the tribe. Sure, that doesn't make sense to some. I have a reasoning for it. So for me, Perforos is the god of the goblins. You know, he's the leader of the goblins in my opinion, because he lends himself, his abilities lend himself to be beneficial to the goblin tribe and the way that they work. I believe the Scarab God is the leader of the zombie tribe. Sure, he's off tribe, but his ability lends itself to be in the zombie tribe leader. Okay, so that's the first thing. The advantage goes to Wilhelt for being in tribe. Okay, let's look at the abilities though. Scarab God's first ability says that during your upkeep, you count the number of zombies you have, then you scry X equal to the number of zombies, and then each opponent loses X life equal to the number of zombies you control. Okay, so let's look at that as scrying. And if you have 5 zombies in play, you can scry the first 5 cards of your library and then shuffle them around the way you want, and then you know what you're going to get as far as your next draw. You can actually set your draws up for turns. Okay, that's a great advantage. Wilheld's first ability is whenever another zombie you control dies, if it didn't have Decayed, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. Okay, so he creates zombies that have negative drawbacks, whereas the Scarab God helps you manipulate your deck and makes each opponent lose life. I would give the advantage there to the Scarab God just because he can actually kill all of your opponents just based off that ability if you do it right, okay? I told you earlier, I don't like the Decayed ability. That's just me. The only thing that I say that this gives you is that you can create fodder. Because they can't block, you can't use them as blockers. They can only attack once. So the only thing you can really do with them is use them as sacrificial lambs. Now, you can take advantage of that in black-blue, sure, and you can, I'm sure, come up with some combo that would work. But, I mean, that's a lot of work, whereas a Scarab God, if you just play a zombie tribal deck, he's going to actually start killing your opponents quickly. It makes him a bigger target, for sure, than Wilheld. But, I mean, that's the whole point of the commander, is actually giving you an advantage. And, hey, making him a target means it takes the eyes off the other targets, which would be all of your Anthem effect style zombies on the board, okay? Let's look at the second ability. Now, Wilheld's second ability is at the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice a zombie, and if you do, draw a card. So, while that seems like it's great, here's the problem. It's only at the beginning of your end step, and you can only do it once per turn. Okay, you get to draw a card. Great. All right. But one card does not actually really matter, especially if you're sacrificing your zombies that you could have probably sacrificed them to do something better. Maybe an Altar's Reap, which would have given you 2 cards. Who knows? So, it's okay. It's not really that great in comparison to a lot of other things. So, that's my opinion on that second ability. Okay, so let's look at the Scarab God's second ability. So, Wilheld's first ability was to create tokens. Well, guess what? Scarab God does too. So for a blue, black, and 2, and you can do it as many times as you can afford to do it, you can go into anybody's graveyard, exile one of their creatures, and then create a token as well. It's not a 2/2 that's decayed, but it's a 4/4 version of whatever the creature could do. In some cases, that 4/4 is a bump in power and toughness, and in some cases, more often than not, it's going to be more. But sometimes it'll be less than what the actual stats on the card are. So it could be a 5/5 and it turns into a 4/4. But you get to choose what the creature is. You can take it out of your opponent's deck, and you get the benefits of whatever that creature would do. You can even do it on your own, and if it's a zombie lord, you can make one of your 2/2 zombie lords a 4/4 zombie lord. See where I'm going with that? I understand that this is a free ability, but it creates a subpar token compared to what the Scarab God's token creation is. Alright? Now, the other part to it is that the Scarab God has one other ability, and Wilheld does not have a third. And that ability is that whenever it dies, you may actually return it back to your hand. I believe it's whenever it dies or is exiled, you can return it back to your hand. Now, that's a tricky situation because normally if it's your commander, you want to put it in the command zone, but then you have commander tax. Whereas if you put it back to your hand, you can cast it for the 5 instead of 7 or 9 or 11. So it actually is a benefit in some ways. It could be a downfall depending on what your opponent's trying to do. But if you can get it back to your hand and play it for 5, much better than having to pay the commander tax. And it just, literally, it's just a repeatable ability and it's hard to kill. So those are my reasonings to why I think Scarab God is a more powerful commander at this moment. I'm waiting for somebody to give me why they think Wilheld is better. I will welcome anybody who wants to discuss this. I am not opposed to being proven wrong. I just don't think I am right now because I've looked at the cards and I've seen the way that they play differently. And I really just think Scarab God is better. So that leaves me to my other thing. It comes down to on the upgrade side. I always give you guys an upgrade section. Normally I would go ahead and just give you every card up on the screen. However, today I'm going to tell you I've already done it. my Scarab God build, I would trade out Will Help for the Scarab God and then build it the way I have built it, with one caveat. I haven't had a chance to upgrade my Scarab God build in about a year or so now, just because I haven't had the time. I've been doing so many other things. So this is what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to put a link to the Scarab God build that I have now. It's the video, and to the MTG Goldfish link, which I'm also going to put a link to the deck list for this deck as well. So if you want to look at a clickable deck list, you can. I'm going to put them up there for now. When I finally do a new build for the Scarab God, or not really a new build, but an updated build and a video for it, I'm going to change the link over, or I'm going to just add it to the description of this video to let you know the progression of the decks that I would do as far as my zombie tribal build. That way, you can take a look at different ways of how I built it. There are a couple cards out of this deck here that I think that will go great into my Scarab God build deck. Like, this is one right here. Distant Melody is a good one. I don't know if I'm going to do it, but it's a good one. Feed the Swarm is a good one, obviously, because it's the only way you can get rid of enchantments in black, and blue doesn't do it that well either. I told you earlier that I have, this deck has, and good luck to me finding it in here, this guy right here. He's definitely going in. I believe there's a blue creature in here, and I'm hoping to find it sooner rather than later. There's a blue creature that now does some weird stuff with zombies whenever you cast an instant or sorcery. This is one I might put in there too, because it gives all zombies flying, and that's always great. Oh, I do know for a fact I'm putting the Drown in Dreams in there, because it's better than any card draw I think I have in there already. And I thought that there was a blue creature, but I guess not in this deck. There's a blue creature. I'm playing it, a version of this on Arena that I've gotten, and it has a blue creature in it that whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, you can create a 2/2 decayed creature, and then if you have 3, you can flip them over, turns into enchantment. I can't remember it. I'll have it up here for you guys to see. That may go in there as well. But so what I'm going to tell you is just wait. For now, look at the old build and see what upgrade options I have in there for that. I'm missing a few things, like a Demonic Tutor, I believe, isn't in there, and a Vampiric Tutor. Obviously, tutors are important, especially in a black deck. Look at that for now, and then I will update it. When I update the actual Scarab God build that I have, I will also tell you that I've also updated and put the links to that new build into this video. So keep an eye out for that to happen as well. So anyway, that is my big video for the week. Remember that I'm doing a pack-a-day opening every day for the next, well, now it's been, I think we're at like 26 packs. I can't remember off the top of my head. So we're almost 30 days in, so another 11 months plus a couple of days. I'm doing that every day. Keep an eye out for that. I have them as shorts, so if you want to take a look at them, they only take up to a minute or less to watch, and, you know, you can anguish with me as I open and get nothing, or you can revel in the fact that I've opened something really cool, and it either will go into a deck that I have, or it'll go into my mystery packs that I sell, or if it doesn't go into a deck I build for either budget reasons, like a budget deck, or for my own commander so that I can make a video on it, it goes into a mystery pack, and I ship them out at $5 for 100 cards with 3 rares. So there's all that. On top of that, what else do I have? I'm only going to be doing, next week I may be doing the other commander deck with an upgrade guide. However, I don't have another version of that deck anywhere, so I'll just do a normal upgrade guide deck video. What else do I have here? Oh, I would really appreciate it if you could help me out. I don't make any money and I'm disabled, so I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. So with that, please do me the favor and subscribe to the channel. As of this video's making, I'm at 337, and that's a lot more than I thought I was going to get, because I was at 310 like 2 weeks ago, and somehow just ended up getting a lot more. Maybe you guys do actually like me like I think you do. Trust me, you do. What else? Like this video, it helps the analytics, it helps other people see it. If they want to see an upgrade guide to how to do it, then they can go, you know, I'll have the links that they can go to. They can watch this video to see what's in the box, and then go to the other video and see how I built the Scarab God. Share this out to anybody who might also be interested in just looking at what's in this deck before they make a choice to buy this pre-con. That's always an option for somebody who's on the fence. Sometimes just looking at a deck list without seeing the physical cards doesn't help you make a decision. For me it does, not for everybody though, so I'm a visual person. I like to see everything, and I can visualize how the deck's going to work in my head. As far as this deck goes, I love this deck. Obviously, I built most of this anyway. I honestly feel like Wizards watched my Scarab God video and said, how do we make it so it's only like a $30 deck to buy? Not kidding. I really do think that, because almost every, a lot of the cards in here, I mean, it's obvious. It's a zombie build deck. What else are you going to do? Other than that, let's see. I guess that's my time for the week. I want to thank you for watching. If you want to support the channel, please go ahead and contact me at bluebearsgames@gmail.com. I can tell you how you can do that. If you want to do it monetarily, there's a way you can do it. If you want to do it any other way, do the like, subscribe, and share. Other than that, enjoy your week. I will see you all next week.